Hello everyone, so I am Victor Dominic C. Calderon and we're going to discuss about mother tongue based multilingual education framework, or otherwise called as MTB MLE. So first, this is the framework itself. So as you can see, there are three factors in this framework, namely the cultural factors, political sociological factors, psychological pedagogical factors. So the framework or MTB MLE itself revolves around these three. So cultural factors, when we say cultural factors, the culture tradition of a particular place. Political sociological factors, the political in nature, the societal factors such as the state of a particular place, that's political sociological factors. Next is psychological pedagogical factors. This involves the teacher and the learner, the students. The teacher wherein in the modes of instruction, the method, pedagogical, that's pedagogical. Next is psychological, on how the learners absorb what he or she is trying to learn. So next is the assessment and feedback and learning outcomes and standard. So when we say assessment and feedback, this is to diagnose what has the students have learned in the particular subject area. Assessment and feedback, say it's self-explanatory. And next is learning outcomes and standards. So this is the output of the student. Learning outcomes, standards. So as you can see, let us begin dissecting this framework by beginning on the lower part of the framework, which is, as you can see, mostly is comprehension and competence. So once, according to this framework, once you have mastered this comprehension, this competence, or otherwise known as skills, you will be able to master the next spectrum of skills, which is listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing, and as well as the mother tongue as language learning. So this is mother tongue is used and able for the students to learn as a method of instruction. Mother tongue is used. So next is, once the students have already mastered these components, these skills, they will achieve a certain level of cognitive development. Next is academic development. So these are related. This is interchangeably related. Academic development, math, science, social sciences, arts. After this development, this is stages according to this framework. So first stage is this, as I've said earlier, the language comprehension, oral competence. And next is this mother and the skills. Next is the skills, cognitive development. Next, and the next is academic development. And fuck those dogs. And next is the competence, the oral competence in these three areas: Filipino, English, and other languages. Other languages includes Bicolano, languages, dialects per se. Okay, so this is included here. Second, language development. And next is lifelong learning. So this is the aim of the framework itself, to promote lifelong learning. As you can see, it is on the top of the spectrum of this framework. So that's all. That's it. That is the framework. So to better understand this framework, let's go to the MTB MLE itself. So in kinder to grade 3, the child's dominant language is used as the language of learning. Filipino and English language proficiency is developed from kinder to grade 3, but very gradually. Mother tongue is used in instruction and learning materials of other learning areas. The learners retain their ethnic identity, culture, heritage, and values. The children learn better and are more active in class and learn in second language even faster when they are first taught in a language they understand. So, as you can see, there is the barrier is resolved in this kind of education, the multilingual education, because students are free to express themselves, free to recite, because they are using their mother tongue language. They will not be able to use English or other languages that is uncomfortable to them. So they're using a comfortable language, which is their mother tongue. Also, as you can see, this is the bridging framework for the MTB MLE. So as you can see, mother tongue to Filipino to English. So these are levels. These are the 12 mother tongue languages that were introduced in 2012. Okay, so 7 more languages were added in 2013. So this is the dialects. Dialects, the mother tongue languages. Bicol, Binisaya, Chabacano, Hiligaynon, Ilocos, Kapampangan, Magindanawan, Meranao, Pangasinan, Tagalog, Waray, Ibatan, Ibanag, Zambal, Kinaraya, Bahasa Sug, Akianon, Sinurigaynon, Yakan. Okay? This is the components of MTB MLE strategic plan. So these are the 6 focused area: pre-service teacher education, policy development and research mobilization, assessment, monitoring and evaluation, materials development, in-service training of teachers and school managers, social preparation, and advocacy. So according to DepEd, these are the components that needs to be addressed, that needs to be accomplished for this curriculum to be implemented properly. So that's all. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've learned my discussion. That's all. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. Hello, I am Maria Francesca Martin, and today we're going to discuss the principles in K-12 Curriculum Guide Mother Tongue. So a total number of 8 principles were stated, but I'll only be discussing the first 2 principles. Shall we start by defining principles? So according to the Business Dictionary, principles are fundamental norms, rules, or values that represent what is desirable and positive for a person, a group, organization, or community. Basically, it is to help in determining the rightfulness or wrongfulness of its actions. You get it? Now let us proceed to the first principle, which is the known to the unknown. So a quotation from the book Educational Psychology by Oswald says that the most important single factor influencing learning is what the learner already knows. Ascertain this and teach him or her accordingly. Learning requires meaning. We learn when we use what we already know to help us understand what is new. It says here that we should use our schema or past knowledge to understand the new one fully. We should not disregard our past knowledge or our mother tongue as a tool in learning, for it will serve as our stepping stone in learning a new knowledge or learning a new language. And when it comes to application, Shamwat says that nowhere is the role of prior knowledge and more important than in second language educational context. Students who can access their prior knowledge through the language and culture they are most familiar with call on a rich array of schemata, whereas students who believe they can only use that knowledge they have explicitly learned in the second language are limited on their access. It should always start with what the learners or the students already know about the topic, and use that to introduce a new concept. Beginning with the learner's first language and culture will better facilitate mastery of the curriculum content. It means that students could learn better using the language that they are familiar with in order to learn a new language or a second language that they could eventually use in the future. Another thing is that second language learners use what they know in their own language to develop other languages. And this positive transfer effect has been found out to be significant in reading. So in application, you should develop an awareness of how the L1 works to support learning the L2 or L3. As mentioned a while ago, your L1 should be your stepping stone in learning other languages. Let us now proceed to the second principle, which is the language and academic development. Students with well-developed skills in their first language have been shown to acquire additional languages more easily and fully, and that, in turn, has a positive impact on academic achievement. Before you fully understand another language, you should at least be fluent with your first language. In that case, learning a new language would not be a burden to you. In application, continue the oral development of L1 and begin reading in L1 to strengthen L2 and L3 learning as well as academic achievement across the curriculum. Basically, it means that learners should not stop using L1 for it will have impact in learning another language. L1 is the basis, and as a base of education, it should not be removed in order to build a stronger foundation. The other principles will be discussed by my groupmates. That would be all, and see you in the next session. Bye!
Good day, everyone. I am Maria Ethime Ardanao, and we will proceed to the third and the fourth principle. Principle 3. Students who use their multilingual skills has been shown to develop both cognitive flexibility and divergent thinking. The way we process language affects how we think. It is like a body that when is exercised regularly, the better it becomes. Just like the mind, the more we develop our language skills, the more it gets used to thinking to the point that it becomes more natural and reaches the higher order thinking skill. In addition, studies have also shown that students learn better when they are taught and the language they use is the one that is more familiar to them. In this way, they have a stronger foundation of transferring their concepts from their first language to their second language. They will be able to find new connections in the concepts and knowledge that they have to the new knowledge they will be acquiring. The stronger foundation they have in their first language and with their concept building, the better they will create new ideas and develop cognitive flexibility and develop divergent thinking. What is higher order thinking skill? It is when we truly learn something, we can explain it, apply, analyze, evaluate, and use to create new ideas and information. More than imitation and passive learning, the students will be able to come up with new ideas of their own and show mastery of what they were taught. So next is the fourth principle. We learn when someone who already understands the new idea or task help us to discover the new idea and then use it meaningfully. Here comes the idea of cooperative learning when students give and exchange their ideas with one another to come up and discover more from what was given. Through the use of questioning and feedback from their peers, students get to learn better since there is a low affective filter where they will feel more comfortable in raising questions and accepting new information. So that's all for the third and the fourth principle. Once again, I'm Maria Ethime Ardanao.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Kabwag and I will discuss Principles 5 and 6 of Teaching and Learning in Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education or MTB MLE in the K-12 Basic Education Program. Let us first discuss Principle 5, namely active learning. We have encountered the term active learning for a million times, whereas students engage themselves in activities, instructions, or in short, learning process that enhance their knowledge and skills in analyzing and solving problems. The concept active learning is based on the learning theory called constructivism, and the following are its proponents. John Dewey is a philosophical founder of this theory who argues that students should be provided with opportunities to think and articulate thoughts. Second, Jean Piaget, who proposed that learning is a dynamic process where learners actively construct knowledge by creating and testing their own theories of the world. Lastly, Jerome Bruner, who believed that different processes were used by learners in problem solving, that these vary from person to person, and that social interaction lay at the root of good learning. Going back to the Principle 5, under these are, first, the importance and involvement of peer interaction. Children learn best through peer interactions in which they work together creatively to solve problems. The idea is based on Vygotsky's social constructionism, where students learn best by communicating and collaborating with others to achieve better comprehension. Teachers are encouraged to provide activities that promote collaboration among students. Activities may be in pairs or groups to enhance social skills and content proficiency as well. Second is the second language active learning. Young children gain confidence in learning a new language when they begin with hear, see, do, or total physical response activities. James Asher's total physical response theory is the enhancement of memory through the association with physical movements. In relation to the principle, aside from interaction, teachers are encouraged to provide activities that involve psychomotor skills to engage the students physically and mentally. Thus, learning is improved. Third is a purposeful talk. Talking helps us make sense of new ideas and information. Teachers are encouraged to provide activities and ask questions that stimulate the learner's thinking process. Generally, active learning is engaging individually and collaboratively in the learning process. Now let's proceed to Principle 6, namely meaning and accuracy. Successful language learning involves hearing, speaking, reading, and writing activities that focus on both meaning and accuracy. Based on this statement, teachers should provide activities, instructions, and lessons that cover all the language competencies, such as reading, writing, listening, speaking, vocabulary, etc., and that develop meaning and accuracy. I hope you learned in my discussion. Next topic will be Principles 7 and 8 of Teaching and Learning in Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education, or MTB MLE, in the K-12 Basic Education Program. Thank you and happy holidays, everyone. God bless us.
Hello, I am Michelle Feliciano from 32 BEE, and I'm here to present the Principles 7 and 8 in the MTB MLE in K-12 curriculum. So, the seventh principle is language learning and language transfer. In language learning and language transfer, students tend to learn a new language best when the learning process is non-threatening and meaningful, and when they can make small steps that help them gain confidence in their ability to use the language meaningfully. In the application, you should begin the L2 language learning time by focusing on hearing, seeing, and experiencing activities that enable students to build up their listening vocabulary before they are expected to talk. So you should introduce reading and writing in L2 only when they have built a good reading and hearing and speaking vocabulary. According to a research of Thomas and Collier in 2003, it takes a minimum of 2 years to learn basic communicative skills in second language when society supports learning, and it takes 5 years or more to learn enough L2 for learning complex academic concepts. So for errors, errors are a normal part of second language learning. L2 learners benefit if they receive feedback in an encouraging way. That is according to Lightbound and Spada in 2006. So it is helpful when teachers respond first to the content of what the student is saying or writing, focusing on 1 or 2 errors at a time. So in this part, it is effective to use a sandwich feedback wherein you could say a positive feedback, then a negative feedback, and another positive feedback to encourage the learners to learn better. So the 8th principle is the affective component, valuing the home language or culture. So valuing students with talents in their home language more powerfully enables learning than just valuing learners of English whose home language is irrelevant to academic success. In application, Learners are encouraged when they know they are valued in the classroom and their language and heritage are seen as resources. So, children from ethno-linguistic language groups thrive in a welcoming environment in which teachers and peers value them positively. So that's all for the principles 7 and 8 in MTB MLE education. Bye.
So the next part of the report is about the learning area standard of mother tongue-based multilingual education. So what is learning area standard? Well, basically, learning area standard is the expected outcome or the goal that will be achieved at the end of the allotted time of a particular area. And in this case, that area is MTB MLE. So let us know the learning area standard of MTB. Use mother tongue appropriately and effectively in oral, visual, and written communication in a variety of situations and for a variety of audiences, contexts, and purposes, including learning of other content subjects and languages, demonstrate appreciation of various forms of literacy genres, and take pride in one's culture heritage. So, MTB MLE aims to help learners become more comfortable in using their mother tongue because mother tongue is very important. The mastery of your mother tongue will help you um, learn your second language easier. So, MTB MLE is very important in creating the foundation of your language learning. So again, the general goal um, of MTB MLE is to help learners become comfortable in using their mother tongue in different purposes, in learning, in reading, writing, and etc. So there is a key stage standard, which is by the end of grade 3, students will enjoy communicating in their first language on familiar topics for a variety of purposes and audiences, in basic vocabulary and phrases, read L1 texts with understanding, and create their own stories and texts in their L1. So this key stage are more specific than the learning area standard because it is general. So this one is more specific from kinder to grade 3. This is the specific aim of MTBME. So we also have grade level standards, and for kinder level, the grade level standard is the learner demonstrates skills and strategies in phonemic awareness, alphabet knowledge, sound letter correspondences, decoding, vocabulary, and comprehension as they enjoy listening and responding to a variety of texts in their mother tongue. So as we can see in this level, it's kind of basic. It's more of doing basic things with your mother tongue. It's the usual tasks we do in kindergarten, but using our mother tongue. So for the grade 1 level, the learner demonstrates basic communication skills in talking about familiar topics using simple words in both verbal and nonverbal cues to understand spoken language, shows understanding of basic vocabulary and language structures, reading process, writing system, and appreciates aspects of one's culture. So in the kinder level, we can see that it is more basic, but in this one, it gets more complicated, or it gets more complex because K-12 is in a spiral progression wherein um the learning gets more complex, or the knowledge gets more complicated. So for grade 2, the learner demonstrates communication skills talking about variety of topics using developing vocabulary in simple phrases and sentences, simple to complex spoken language using both verbal and nonverbal cues, understands vocabulary and language structures, appreciate and understand the cultural aspects of the language and the writing system used, and reads and writes simple and short literary and informational texts. So, like what I said a while ago, spiral progression. So, in here, um, there are additional tasks to help the learner master their or develop their mother tongue, like write simple and short literary and information texts using their mother tongue, and other tasks like that in tasks in appropriate in grade 2 level. So for the last level, grade 3, the learner demonstrates communication skills in talking about variety of topics using expanding vocabulary and phrases, shows understanding of spoken language in different contexts using both verbal and non-verbal cues, vocabulary and language structures, cultural aspects of the language, reads and writes literary and informational texts. So as we can observe from the basic of kinder up to grade 1, wherein additional tasks were there were additional tasks in grade 2, also additional tasks, more complicated tasks than those of the previous ones, and now in the grade 3, more complicated tasks were added, like cultural aspects of the language, vocabulary and language structures and such. So all in all, or generally, the goal of MTB MLE is to help the students become comfortable in using their mother tongue in different purposes, in communicating, writing, um, learning, and such. It is to help them become comfortable, because once they have mastered their mother tongue, it will be easier for them to learn their second language. So MTB MLE is a very important part of K-12 because it helps students to build the foundation of their language learning, because they already know how to if they already processed with themselves of how they learn their mother tongue, it will be easier for them to learn their second language. So that's it for the learning area standard of mother tongue based multilingual education.